The iPhone changed the world. A magic slab of glass that's millions of times more powerful than the computers used to take us to the moon. And almost everyone has one in their pocket every day. So obviously it must have took a real genius and divine intervention for someone to think that up. Except it didn't. The truth is, in the early 2000s, the iPod alone was responsible for almost half of Apple's entire revenue. Steve Jobs noticed that people were carrying around those crappy mobile phones and an iPod with them everywhere. So you don't have to be a genius to foresee that the company who would first combine a phone with an MP3 player would destroy the sales of the iPod. So he sought to do it himself. The idea for the iPhone was literally just an iPod mixed with a phone, mixed with a PDA, which is just this crappy thing that people used to have. And then he'd combine some technologies that Apple was experimenting with, like touchscreen and lithium batteries. That's literally all it was. Steve Jobs just saw stuff that was cool and decided to steal them and make them into his own thing. And I think that if anyone else was in his position, they would have thought the same. And this story isn't the exception. Henry Ford, the main person responsible for introducing the assembly line and transforming our economy tremendously, literally stole that idea from meatpacking houses and grain mills. The inspiration for Velcro came from a plant that would stick to dog fur. The idea for the bullet train was stolen from the narrow beak of a kingfisher. So here's the secret that no one tells you. Creativity is just stealing things. You find something cool and you take it for yourself. And I say that no one tells you this, but in a 1995 article, Steve Jobs said it himself. Creativity is just connecting things. When you ask creative people how they did something, they feel a little guilty because they didn't really do it. They just saw something. Austin Kleon wrote an amazing book, Still Like an Artist, that describes this exact phenomenon. And in the spirit of the book, I'm going to steal the first chapter for this video, but then you should actually go and buy it because it's really good. The whole premise is that the world is full of stuff either worth stealing or not worth stealing. Your job is to identify if something is worth stealing and then move on to the next thing to steal. You may feel guilty doing this, but you really shouldn't. All of your heroes have done it, they're doing it, and they will continue to do it.
I mean, Picasso had a saying, he said, good artists copy, great artists steal. And we have, always been shameless about stealing great ideas.
Kleon highlights this quote from writer Jonathan Lethem. When people call something original, 9 out of 10 times they just don't know the references or the original sources involved. So the point being, nothing is really new and all creative work just builds on what came before. And this can kind of feel disappointing at first, but is actually completely freeing. It's a huge burden to put on yourself to be completely original with every piece of work you make. And it's also impossible. So if you can allow yourself to be unoriginal, you allow yourself to create. Most ideas are just a mashup of existing ideas. The iPhone is just the iPod phone. The car is just a steam-powered carriage. The ideas you come up with will likely be a mashup of the things you let into your life. You choose the books that you read, the music you listen to, the videos you watch. There's even been studies that show how humans mirror the closest people that we put around us. We pick up their habits and we're likely to earn the average of their salaries. So for better quality ideas, you should choose better quality influences. Kleon also says, instead of studying an entire industry, study one of your heroes. It's much more palatable and you won't become paralyzed with abundance. Then you should study the heroes of your heroes, and in their heroes too. So I myself look up to Mr. Beast a bit, and he looks up to Elon Musk and Steve Jobs. They looked up to Edison, Tesla, the inventor of Polaroid, and Picasso. And I'm sure that they all had their own idols as well. So you should follow this tree as far as you can and study as much as you can. And then when you have built your tree, you should start your own branch. You should be curious about everything and be willing to learn and go deeper than anyone else. We live in a world with unlimited access to all the information we could ever possibly want, so take advantage of it. Google what you want to know, or YouTube it. Take out a pen and paper and literally write notes on the thing itself. Anything you want to learn is available if you're willing to look for it. Write down everything. Ideas vanish as fast as they come, and the only way to stop this is by writing them down immediately. If you're lucky enough to come across even a half-baked idea, you should put this in your notes immediately. Kleon recommends carrying around a pen and paper, copying out your favourite passages from books and conversations that you overhear. I think a notes app is fine for the most of us.